is George. At the time I'm recording this, it is 11:04 p.m. on March 31st of 2025. So before recording this, or getting into this video, or audio recording, I would like to say Happy Trans Visibility Day. And the last quote-unquote ASMR video that I made, it was very enjoyable. It was technically the first quote-unquote ASMR video or audio recording that I have ever done. And I think I tried to put some triggers and pieces of gentle sounding tingles in the recording, but it was mostly just a ramble about my newest album. So I have one of my books, which is Keith Haring's journals. I purchased this about, I believe so, maybe 3-4 months ago. And I've been very obsessed with it. And I am on page 164. There are, aside from an index, there are I genuinely can't find it. I genuinely can't find how many. Oh, I believe so. There are 368 pages before this little thing at the end of it. So I would like to read a couple of pages from this while proceeding to do more examples of ASMR. So, yeah. Most people never give him credit for this. He was an outward image of a manipulator, a user of people. In fact, the opposite is true. People used him. He let himself be used. He wanted to make things better for everyone. He helped a lot of people to see themselves. He was not transparent, but maybe a mirror. Nobody can be responsible for other people's lives. Everyone ultimately charts their own course. You can help and encourage people to live for themselves. The most evil people are the people who pretend to have the answers. The fundamentalist Christians, all dogmatic, controlled religions are evil. The original ideas are good, but they are so convoluted and changed that only a skeleton of good intentions is left. Most of the evil in the world is done in the name of good. Religion, false prophets, bullshit artists, politicians, businessmen. The whole concept of business is evil. Most white men are evil. The white man has always used religion as a tool to fulfill his greed and power-hungry aggression. Business is only another name for control. Control of mind, body, and spirit. Control is evil. All stories of white men's expansion and colonization colonization, and domination are filmed with horrific details of abuse of power and misuse of people. I'm sure inside I'm not white. There's no way to stop them, however. I'm sure it is our destiny to fail. The end is inevitable. So who cares if these pigs kill me with their evil disease? They've killed before and will continue to kill until they suck themselves into their own evil grave and rot and stink and explode themselves into oblivion. I'm glad I'm different. I'm proud to be gay. I'm proud to have friends and lovers of every color. I am ashamed of my forefathers. I am not like them. Today, I read in New York Times that all of the officers who killed Michael Stewart were again dismissed of charges, continually dismissed, but in their minds, they will never forget. They know they killed them. They will never forget his screams, his face, his blood. They must live with that forever. I hope in their next life they are tortured. Like they tortured him. They should be birds captured early in life, put in cages, purchased by fat, smelly, ugly lady, who keeps them in a small, dirty cage up near the ceiling, while all day she cooks bloody sausages and blood spatters in their cage, and the frying pan burns their matted feathers, and they can never escape the horrible fumes of her burnt meat. One day, the cage will fall to the ground, and a big, fat, ugly cat will kick them around, play with them like a toy, and slowly kill them and leave the remains to be accidentally stepped on by the big, fat pig lady who can't see her own feet because of her huge, sagging tits. An eye for an eye. I'm not afraid of anything I've ever done. Not ashamed of anything. I will continue to read, but that is one of my favorite passages in the book so far. I think it completely explores the type of person that Keith exactly was. There is an amazing painting or drawing of a man who is kind of shining like God, and people around them swimming in a enclosed pool with USA, a star, a dollar sign, and a cross. And to bring up a specific factor that is non-related but slightly is towards this is a small little factor to mention is when I did not live in America and I watched The Simpsons a lot when I was a child, and every time I saw the dollar sign in The Simpsons, it was an S with two horizontal lines through the S. And when I moved to America, I remember writing dollar signs like that, and none of my teachers, none of my pupils decided to tell me that that was wrong. My father actually told me sign. So I thought that was a pretty interesting mention. And then the other um, drawing or painting on here is, I believe so, the Earth that is split apart, and I believe so is burying people. And there is a drawing of, believe so, a black man who has a bar around his neck and handcuffs on that one is held by the forearm of a skeleton. That is a key, and the other one is held by a bird flying in the sky. So, to proceed, May 11th, 1987, Tokyo. The first parts of this are being rewritten from notes taken since the beginning of the trip. This is the first time I've had to write. April 22nd. Leave New York City at 7:30 p.m. for Paris. Came to airport in limo with Aldafo Arena. Smoking pot all the way to the airport. Traveling with Juan and Kian. Take 2 volumes and sleep almost all the way to Paris. April 23rd. Arrive in the morning. Take a taxi to Paris to drop off the Bergia canvas to be painted in some luggage called George Condo at Vendome Hotel. Hospital warned a meeting, so we rushed over and had a meeting with the people there. There were several painting experts with a question mark in brackets, and we met the hospital directors. Hospital seemed a bit apprehensive about what I would paint. They had only seen some books and catalogs, and were a little worried. I drew a quick sketch and explained why I didn't work from the exact plans or sketches. They seemed a bit assured. Chose pink colors, then went back to meet Juan and Gil, and caught taxi to airport for 3 p.m. flight to Dusseldorf. Arrived in Dusseldorf at 4 p.m. Picked up Hans Mayer, go to gallery, and then immediately to factory in Essen at 5 p.m. We see the cutouts of Marquette of Red Dog Forlandos. Looks okay. There's a drawing of a figure that is a typical drawing or sketch of Keith's, of a figure that looks like it is dancing, but also looks like it has a nose and mouth, and is moving in a happy dancing mood. April 24th, 11 a.m. Meeting with Hans, an executive from Mercedes-Benz and Mercedes-Benz in Dusseldorf. Discuss possibility of Mercedes painting my sculptures. Tour the plant. Pretty incredible. 2 p.m. Return to factory in Essen to attempt to construct Marquette. Seemed impossible at first. Ancient roller, portable borrowed to attempt to roll the steel. Discouraging after having worked in Lippincott. Eventually, we had some satisfaction his factory results good enough? At least indicate the exact radius, position, etc. of final marquettes. Return to Dusseldorf for meeting with Helg Aschenbach to discuss the mural at new headquarters of BBD&O. Huge advertising agency, I'm told. Meet one of the presidents of BBD&O. Looks okay. Then surprise. Dinner with the man Helge Achenbach is trying to get me to do carpet with sneaky surprise, but unavoidable. I told him I would only do it if Sol Lewitt will do it. Since they say Sam Francis and David Hockney have already agreed, and they say Sol will do it, I do believe it. For a minute. So I agreed to do it only if Sol does. I'm sure he won't. But if he does it, I will. Had told Hans of the mural that evening before he expressed concern, justifiably, over Achenbach. Hans will tell Tony Savrasi should be involved. I don't really think so, since Tony sometimes has a way of fucking up projects like this by other complicating them. But to appease Hans, I called Tony and suggested we have a meeting with Achenbach and share in the percentage. So of course everyone is making money off this, and I am doing the work. Again. April 25th. Call Julian at hotel. He's in the same hotel, and arrange to see him at his show. He's installing a show at the museum. It looked good. Buy a postcard of my mural from New York City. I hadn't seen before, and sign copies of books in bookstore after I am recognized. Drive to Netherlands to see museum with Hans. Possible place to show them the big sculptures. Great sculpture gardens. Huge. Great Dubuff, Oldenburg, and lots of Lycians. Incredible Van Gogh collections, all hanging salon style, side by side, packed together, because main building was getting repainted or under construction. Funny situation. It made them all look like cheap imitations because of how they were hung. Benet and Renault and Mirandans all mixed up, side by side, and only inches apart. Funny how important space is. When their importance is reduced and they are forced to compete with each other, they are not so grand anymore. Only the great ones withstand this test. Great lesson in art history and reality. Drive back to Dusseldorf at 110 miles per hour in Hans convertible BMW, just in time to change and shower to go to the dinner at Crump's house. Nice, cute mansion. Very formal. Couscous buffet. We are the only ones not wearing ties. Nice people, lousy food, chit-chat, and discuss possibility of Crump doing assembly of other sculptures, since original factory only seems capable of cutting, not assembling and bending. Was this prearranged? Hans is very clever, like Andy. Men are Denny parters. We're also meetings in disguise. No wasted time. Makes sense to me. Did some drawings for guests, including the inevitable "This is for my 16-year-old brother" drawing. If only I could meet all these 16-year-old sons, brothers, nephews I'm all drawing for. Sunday, April 26. Went with Hans to Kunstsammlung in Dusseldorf to see incredible collection. Warhols for days, Tumbly, Ruschenberg, Piaz. Andy gets so much more respect in Europe. Nobody has a Warhol collection in a museum like this in America. Small museum, great light. Hans has great stories of time spent with Andy. In Germany, anybody who's Andy spent this much time with was selling paintings to and doing favors for must be okay. I'm becoming more respectful of Hans and wondering why Tingley warned me about him. But there's always two sides to every story. I should know about two-sided stories. Went to see Hans' new house being reconstructed. He had an idea for me to do a huge sculpture for this amazing circular piece of land in the middle of his property. Looks incredible. I'm intrigued and honored. Return to his hotel and pack for return to Paris. Guangxi has also been running in the park and is convinced he has found the cruising part because of the discarded rubbers and trampled bushes. Good for him. Read yet another AIDS article in Herald Tribune. Article about homophobia increase on American college campuses, violence, etc. Very frightening, but very predictable. In fact, very much according to plan, I'm sure. 3 p.m. Fly to Paris. Check in La Louise. Dinner with Juan and Kyung and Brasse. Monday, April 27th. Go to hotel to check painting, buy brushes, etc. Seems to be in order. Go to Bamberg to explain how to hang my canvases and inquire about photo of mural being included in exhibition. Inquire about Bamberg video crew shooting mural painting. 3 women assure me they will do this. Of course, coincidentally, they never appear again. Dinner with Kondo and Mabe and Kyung and Juan. Tuesday, April 28th, 10 a.m. Arrive at hotel, ready to paint. 11:30. Paint arrives. Begin to paint. I told Juan I didn't think I needed him as I struggle alone until 4 p.m. Yang is sleeping. Beginning is very difficult. Immediately realize brushing all of the background color is ridiculously impossible. I break for lunch and go buy rollers myself. Hospital staff doesn't understand English and don't understand what I'm saying. Guangxi arrives after frantic secretaries call hotel. I'm working inside a box held from a crane by a steel cable. Building is 8 stories high. Instructions from moving are signaled becomes much easier because we both paint at the same time. I outline, he rolls. Finish. 8 p.m. 2 colors, 2 coats each. Dinner with Roger Nellens and wife and gorgeous son at Otto Hahn's house. Talk business entire time. Discuss all aspects of Kanoki exhibition. One points out later in hotel that Nellens' order of business is a little strange. 1. T-shirts. 2. Pop shop merchandise. 3. Posters, invitations. 4. Exhibition, possible mural. Agree, he has it backwards. Wednesday, 29th. 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. Paint mural. Meet Julia at lunchtime. Buy more brushes. Much faster with Juan there all day. 4th color is now on. 2 coats each. Arms, hands, hurt, and blistered from brushes and rollers. 10 p.m. Dinner at La Copio for opening of Jim Rosenquist's show. Sit across from Jim. He has great stories of sign painting days when he was working in New York City in the 60s. Incredible stories. It makes my mural sound so small. Talking about 40-foot O's. Julia is here, and fun. Meet Swedish dealer interested in showing me, who shows Ruschenberg, Rosenquist, etc. Meet Belgian lady, who has gallery Brussels. Makes me promise I visit her. Tuesday, April 30th. Mural rained out. Thank God. Feel too sore to paint anyway. This means it's impossible to finish mural and do Björborg painting before Japan. So I'll do Björborg painting when I return. I go to Björborg to explain this. In the meantime, they have canvases hanging already. It's backwards. It's hanging backwards. Seems facing out. It's impossible to find anyone in this museum. It is so big, nobody knows what is going on. Very frustrating. Now they say they might not be doing the bag they asked me to design either. Went to 10th to see Jim Rosenquist show. Nice drawings. I'm not sure what I think of the paintings. Went to see Bruno Schmidt's show and Mick Guangxi there. Was having an argument. Silly. With one earlier in the room. Because I said he was stupid. Because he was watering the flowers in the room with the shower hose. So he wanted to stay in the room. But I ran into him on the street outside the gallery. Everything is okay. Go to see her of Theodore Russell's show. Disappointed, but I wasn't expecting much. I'm sure it's possible to know if the difference between good and bad painting. Not much of interest anywhere right now. Basquiat and Kondo are the only ones I think are really good. At lunch at my favorite restaurant near Björborg. Probably my favorite because I know what to order on the menu and the waitresses aren't rude. Met Julia at a hotel. Took off a list for my birthday dinner. Kwong is out researching restaurants to find a suitable background atmosphere. 5 p.m. Interview with Otto Hans for Björk's magazine and hotel. Interrupted by George Condo's phone call inviting me and Juan to dinner at Quad Picasso's house. Interview went okay. Forever. Trying to explain the same things. It seems people always understand after asking the right questions. helps me understand more about what I think myself. Dinner at Claude's in Sidney Picasso's house was interesting, fun. They had KH magnets on the refrigerator. It must be incredible to eat, sleep, watch TV, etc. around these paintings. I guess the family always gets the best work. Lots of pieces I've never seen before. Picasso seems endless. Amazing how many things one can produce if you live long enough. I mean, I've barely created 10 years of serious work. Imagine 50 years. The progress and evolution is remarkable. I would love to live to be 50 years old. Imagine. Hardly seems possible. And that is where I will leave it off on a very depressing note. If you know nothing about Keith, even though he did talk about reading a AIDS article, I believe so, in his early 30s, Keith died of AIDS. Inasmuch as he might have not left behind 50 years of remarkable work, the work that he did left behind is still remarkable and still honored. And as a 21-year-old person who was born, I believe so, he passed in 1989. So a person who was born 14 years after his passing and is completely honored and amazed that I get to evaluate this man's work for myself is beautiful. Some of the names were very hard to pronounce. Yuan and Juan is perfectly fine, but some of the names of the restaurants as well, very hard to pronounce, so I apologize for that. I hope everyone has a wonderful night, has a wonderful sleep. It is 11:39 while ending this video. Thank you for listening. Long live Keith Haring, and long live trans rights.